Hi, this is Braden Holtby.
Hey, this is Tanner the Bulldozer Bozer.
Hi, this is Brian Burke from Toronto, Ontario.
This is Daryl Sutter.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carly Agro from Sportsnet Central.
This is Jay Onright.
This is Quick Dick coming to you from Tofnell, Saskatchewan.
Hey, everybody. My name is Theo Fleury.
This is Kelly Rudy.
This is Corey Cross.
This is Wade Redden.
This is Jordan Tutu.
My name is Jim Pattison.
Hey, it's Ron McLean, Hockey Night in Canada and Rogers Hometown Hockey, and welcome to the Sean Newman Podcast.
Happy Monday, folks. Welcome to the podcast. Hope you had a great weekend. I know some of the golf courses are opening up, so people are out getting their first taste of swinging the clubs for the year. The Oilers got earmuffs, kids. They got shit pumped by the Flames, which hurts me. Like, it was bad. We're going to forget about that one and carry on, but happy Monday. We're forgetting about some of the things on the weekend. Hopefully you got to do some great things on the weekend. And let's get the week started right. We got a great one coming up today, a double shot, the guy who started the world's longest hockey game, and then one of the locals who played in it. So before we get there, let's get to today's episode sponsors, Carly Kloss and Windsor Plywood, builders of the podcast studio table. For everything wood, these are the guys. Deck season, of course, is upon us, and Windsor is stocked up on their Micro Pro Sienna brown treated lumber. As we all know, the price of lumber is going through the roof. So if you got a backyard project, go stop in and see the group over at Windsor Plywood, or if you're looking to see what they can do, hop on your phone and take a look. I check out their Instagram page. They got a Facebook page as well, and see what they're cooking with, all right? Or give them a call, 780-875-9663. The team over there can help you out. Jen Gilbert and team for over 45 years, since 1976, the dedicated realtors of Coldwell Banker, Cityside Realty, have served Lloydminster and the surrounding area. Star Power, that's what they call it, as they provide their clients with 7-day-a-week access. Service is a priority because they know big life decisions are not made during office hours. Coldwell Banker, Cityside Realty, for everything real estate, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Give them a call, 780-875-3343. Mortgage broker Jill Fisher. Now, obviously, the name says it all. She proudly serves the areas of Lloydminster, Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and Vermilion, and she's looking forward to working with you for all your mortgage needs. She is, of course, a mortgage broker, and they're not limited on the products they can offer you. Instead, being a broker, they seek out the best package that suits your specific situation. Take this guy, case in point. I just signed today, actually, a new mortgage moving forward. So she has been, I don't know, just like easy to work with. I told her exactly what I wanted. This is what I'm looking at. Boom, here it is. Sign the paperwork. Away we go. So give her a call today, 780-872-2914, or visit her on her website, jfisher.ca. Clay Smiling, the team over at Prophet River. They specialize in importing firearms from the United States of America. They pride themselves in making the process as easy as they can do for all their customers. The team at Prophet River does all the appropriate paperwork on both sides of the border in order to legally get the firearm into Canada and into your hands. Also, they take care of registering the firearm and transferring it to your PAL or FAC before shipping them by mail, courier, or bus to wherever you are. All right? Just go to ProfitRiver.com and check them out today. They are the major retailer of firearms, optics, and accessories serving all of Canada. T-Bar One Transport, since 2002, for more than 19 years, the team at T-Bar One has offered excellent service, putting the community first. They're located in both Lloydminster and now Bonnyville. They can cover all your heavy haul needs. In their fleet, they have tank movers, 45-ton pickers, 1-tons, flat decks, Texas beds, winch trucks, and highway tractors. Currently, well, actually, I'd been sent a video by the big man himself being close to Maple Creek, Saskatchewan. They were moving giant 2,000-barrel tanks heading towards Shaunavon, Saskatchewan. So it sounds like the boys are back home safe. But as you know, for all your heavy haul needs, give the boys over at T-Bar One a call, 780-205-1709. Where is that SNP billboard? Has everybody found it by now? It's been a few weeks. If you haven't, I'll give you another week to see if you can't scour it out before I spill the beans on where we're now hiding away. I got to give a shout out to Read and Write and the amazing work of Deanna Wandler. If you're looking for outdoor signage, stop in and see the team at Read and Write. They can get you hooked up. And finally, Gartner Management is a Lloydminster-based company specializing in all types of rental properties to help meet your needs. Whether you're looking for a small office or a 6,000-square-foot commercial space, give Wade Gartner a call today, 780-808-5025. And if you're heading into any of these, make sure you let them know you heard about them from the podcast, all right? Now let's get on to that T-Bar 1 Tale of the Tape. Originally from Innisfree, Alberta, an optometrist who owns and operates Alberta Sports Vision Institute. He has facilitated and played in 9 games focused on raising money for cancer research, 2 of which were the world's longest baseball games and 7 of which were the world's longest hockey games. Together, they have amassed over $5.4 million. This year's edition, the 2021 World's Longest Hockey Game, went over 252 hours, that's 10.5 days of hockey, and raised close to $2 million. I'm talking about Brent Saik. So buckle up, because here we go.
This is Brent Saik. Welcome to the Sean Newman podcast.
Welcome to the Sean Newman podcast. Today, I'm joined by Brent Saik. So first off, thanks for hopping on, big fella.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
This is a new one. I mean, first you catch me eating supper, and you're driving to ball practice. Now you're sitting at ball practice. We're making it work.
That 100%. It's springtime, and the fact that we're able to play a little bit is fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been a long old winter, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Now I've been like, obviously we had a couple of boys from Lloyd come play in the longest, world's longest hockey game. I guess I've been fascinated. I've listened to a couple of your interviews, kind of just fascinated by the whole thing to put your body through. So like everybody loves hockey, but like that's extreme. So I was hoping, I don't know, I could get a little bit of the background of where this started. I think the first hockey game you had was in 2003, but maybe you could kind of give us maybe a little bit of the backstory so people can just kind of understand where this evolved from.
It was I never played hockey before, so I asked my wife if I could get goalie gear and build a rink, and that was kind of the thing. I think I was 32 years old or something at the time. And as we were playing one winter, they had the longest game in Red Deer on the pond there, or on the Red Deer River actually. And I was playing with my buddies. We played probably 12 hours or something, and the record was 24, so we figured this would be easy. And so we just kind of, I'd always done some fundraising for my dad on he had passed away from cancer, and I felt this probably a good little fundraiser, not expecting where it would go. But from there, we played that next year. We played the game, and then my wife passed away just a few months after that first game, and here we are. It just seems to keep evolving and raising more money, and on and on. It keeps getting colder and colder. It seems like it's I'm getting older. So
Did I hear you don't play hockey?
No, I never. I play once every 3 years. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. My skates will stay hanging up until 3 years from now. My son plays hockey, so I put it on a little bit, but my wife generally skates with them because the rink's at our house. But I just kind of hang out and get the rink ready, and I don't play hockey. I'm a ball player.
So why? I know you've done some world's longest ball games as well. Why wouldn't you have started with ball instead of hockey? I feel like that flies in the face. Like for 24 hours, okay, whatever. But you guys are at like 10.5 days of hocky now.
Yeah.
Like your body has to hate you by the end of that.
Yeah. The ultimately knowing that like hockey is kind of more what the community wraps its face around, and yeah, if I thought I could raise more money playing ball, I'd quit playing hockey. I'm not gonna lie to you. That would happen.
Do you ever think of, like, I don't know, slapping the skates on 6 months before and doing a bit of training just to like kind of like
that'd be a good idea. I gotta I'm 52 now, and I'm not getting younger. And I felt that this last game, I mean, I train in my own way. I'm a hobby farmer, and I got an acreage, so I try to keep myself somewhat fit, which is somewhat of a lie too. But ultimately, here we all are. For me, it's a matter of I don't know. I don't like playing hockey. Like, I literally do not like playing that game. I love raising money, so I'll keep doing it. And I've always said hockey's an activity, baseball's a sport, and I'd sooner play ball. That's how it works.
That's pretty crazy. For a guy who doesn't like a sport but embraces it because he realizes the community will rally behind it. What are you up to now? Like I think the last total I'd written down was like 5.47 million you've raised. How many games now have you done? 7 hockey games, 2 ball games. Yeah. So you've done 7 games that you absolutely do not train for, you do not like, and yet you still go out and do it. Like that's freaking impressive, man.
Yeah, there's things in the world you never figure you'd be doing. This is one of them. That's definitely the case. But ultimately, it's a wild process that I've been through just in watching people help me and embrace it, and the actual the playing of hockey. I love doing it with these guys and my wife now out there. Like I enjoy that. I enjoy the process of the world's longest games. That's the most fun I have doing anything, and whether it's ball or hockey, it's a life-changing thing every time you do it. Every new player will say that. Sure, the new Lloyd guys, if you've had them on or chatted with them, they'll tell you that they're different people after they played. It makes you a different person just to be around something like that. And that's exactly it. I mean, to play a game that I really don't enjoy for that long, and but be around people that embrace and really, really want to try to make a difference in what we're trying to do, then it's well worth it for sure.
God, you're gonna have me smiling all night. I knew you didn't play a whole lot of hockey, but the fact you don't you're like, it just seems backwards to me. It'd be like me trying to do an ultra marathon or something. Hey, let's raise some money. We're gonna make you run for like 40 hours straight. We're gonna do what now? Like I don't run for 40 hours straight, right?
Yeah,
like you're talking about hockey. Like at the end of this game, after 10 straight days, 10 and a half straight days, I saw the pile of broken pucks, which I can just imagine those nights how cold they were.
Yeah.
If you took a sign-up sheet around the dressing room, how many guys would be like, yeah, I'll be back?
All of them.
All of them on that night?
Yeah,
when you
100%.
finish? 100%?
Yeah. Everybody, I've talked to everyone, and barring unforeseen conditions, they're all signed up for the next game already.
No kidding.
Yeah. And it's that sort of makes you go, yeah, there's gotta be something odd about you to get involved in something like this. And I mean, there's a crazy amount of passion to do it. And you meet new friends. It's a lot of my friends that I have in my world are from either longest ball or longest hockey game. And I love that. I love it. We're a kindred spirit.
Yeah, I can imagine the dressing room is an interesting place after you've into like day 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there in all these games you've played, there must be like that hump day where it's like you got to battle through, or is it a night, or are they all the nights?
Yeah, it's about day 3. The first few days are really, really tough. Just kind of getting your body in order as far as sleeping short amounts of time, just napping basically. And then after sort of day 3 into day 4, it's kind of weird what your body just sort of does. It knows it only gets a nap here and there, and then it goes, does a thing, then you eat, and you do the same thing over and over again, and it's just a routine. And it's not as hard actually after day 3. The rest is just kind of cruising, because then you get about day 8 or 9, and you only got a couple days left, so it's piece of cake at that point. Yeah.
I love it. I think it's awesome. I always wonder, we were supposed to do this well, I don't know. What was it, Brent? Like maybe 2 weeks ago, we were supposed to sit down. And 2 weeks, I'm always curious how the world works, and it works in mysterious ways, I would say, because within the 2 weeks, we're gonna do something a little crazy here in town too. We're gonna do a little bit of a relay race over 1,000K with a group of us to raise some money for.
I heard about that
for the schools in town. So I mean, it's just funny how I would have never thought of bringing that up, but it's things like what you guys do. It inspires people to, all right, well, we can do something here too, right? Let's get going and try and raise some money, raise some awareness, provide some laughs, a little positivity for the community.
Yeah, and it's good. I think I've had a lot of people that have asked me questions on how to do a softball game, a soccer game, football game, and that kind of stuff. And so I always try to help out where I can and give suggestions and whatnot, because everybody's doing it to try and raise money for their own projects or ideals and whatnot. So it's pretty cool to see that it kind of outreaches just past our game into other events and whatnot that I've been asked to do. Like I've been asked to do a running one. So I'm not doing that. That's I don't think I could survive that. Actually, that skating, I can float around. Yeah. So
Hang at the blue line.
yeah. No, that's my wife's job. I gave her a hard time about that last game. She was milking it.
How how do you like? I assume, and maybe I'm wrong. What's your roster like? Do you got 20 on each side?
Yeah, 2 teams of 20, and so you'll kind of play about 12 hours of hockey in a 24-hour period. Yeah, it's sort of 4 hours, maybe 4 or 5 hour shifts, and then maybe a 4-hour break or so, and you just kind of keep rotating through like that. So
how do you select who comes? I assume people are wanting to get involved in this. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I'm a special.
Yeah, there's a huge list, and it's basically friends of mine, and if it's not a friend of mine, it's a friend of my friends kind of thing. Just have to, because you have to know the person that's getting involved to make sure they're not going to leave you hanging or quit on you halfway through simply just because it hurts or whatever. So it's all people that I know or very close friends of my close friends. So it's a pretty tight group. It's hard to get in, truthfully, but and then once you're in, it's hard to leave. That's how it works.
Well, how often are you doing it? How many years apart are each game?
Yeah, every 18 months we'll put something on. So next August we'll play ball, and then 18 months later again we'll play hockey, and just keep flopping back and forth.
How many times does the record get broke in between here and the following hockey game?
We broke our last record, so we broke our own record last time. I think there's a group in November that are talking about doing it in Buffalo to break our record, and then we'll probably break theirs. And I talked to that group, and it's just by seconds. They're raising money for cancer as well down there. They've broken our record before, and basically they beat us by seconds, and then we'll beat them by seconds. And meet at 11 days, you kind of proved your point already. It's don't have to go much longer. Yeah.
I'd been told. Well, no, I hadn't been told. I guess I've been informed. The money this year was going for PCLX 001. Is that right? What's so special about that, or what can you tell us about that? I guess.
Yeah, when we played the ball game, they needed $500,000 to make a pill or manufacture this pill, and ultimately, since 1985, this is the first time anything like this has ever happened. There's 17 different types of cancer drugs, and because this is so new, they actually made their own class of cancer drug, and that's odd and rare. And to get to that point, it's sort of 1 in 10,000 chance, and they're at 1 in 3 that it actually cures cancer. It's not, and the difference to note is every other cancer drug is called a cancer treatment. This is the first drug in the world that they're actually considering a cancer cure, and they needed 1.5 million to do the human trials in Edmonton. So it's actually not in Edmonton; it's across Canada that they're doing it. But part of it is in Edmonton, and the head researchers are from Edmonton. So the ball game got it going, and then the hockey game sort of finished it, and the trials start within weeks. I guess the patients are lined up, and we're going to find out shortly if this thing actually cures cancer, lung cancer, breast cancer, lymphomas, leukemia, I understand as well. So it's pretty pretty wild thing to go through. It's important to raise money and do things, but every time we've played a game, we've seen a pretty powerful impact, whether through equipment that we bought or a project like this, and that we've sort of tied ourselves to. And here we are, that within 6 months we'll revisit and see if we're right. It is research, and it's the closest thing that anybody in the world's been close to like this, and pretty wild that it's happening here. So,
Well, I mean, cure for cancer. That'd be something, wouldn't it?
yeah. I hope it's not like that movie, The Last Man, and everybody turned into a zombie when they cured cancer that time. What movie was that? So I hope that doesn't happen. But outside of that, we got good hopes. Who was that? I forget the guy.
Was that no, it wasn't World War Z, was it?
No, well, maybe it was. I can't remember.
I can't remember. I know what movie you're talking about. That's hopefully that's not what happens.
That's not it. Because I was bugging the researchers about that, and they said, "No, we're pretty sure this won't turn people into zombies." I said, "Okay, then. Well, let's go get a cure here."
I'd been well, regardless, like, good on you guys. Like, that's like super cool for somebody like yourself to take the initiative to not only just put on like an event, but like put on something that goes above and beyond. And then on top of it, in the COVID world this year, right? Like, I can only imagine the hoops you had to jump through to pull that thing off.
Yeah, it was tough. We had to do our quarantine. I asked a lot more of the players just by staying at home. They couldn't go to work for a week before the game, and getting tested. We had a great help through groups just donating things like the testing and whatnot. So yeah, Dyna Life, if they didn't give us, I don't know, it was maybe $150,000 worth of testing for free, we wouldn't have been able to do it. So it's that kind of stuff that I'm pretty proud of, that people just donated. The food had to be there weeks before in freezers, so we couldn't take food from restaurants. And once that cage was up, it was kind of weird. Nobody from the inside that cage left, and nobody from outside came in, and no food, no supplies, nothing came in once we started our quarantine. They called me the warden. It was like a jail.
What do you mean? You put up a cage around the rink?
We literally had a fence around where like the road areas were. The rink fence was part of it, and then the road area was another part of it. So there's literally a 6-foot high fence around properties that nobody could get into. That's how we played it, so that nobody would break the bubble.
Wow. I mean, any other year, how many volunteers do you got helping pull this thing off?
About 800. Usually it's 800 volunteers. And this time we had 10 extra people that stayed in, and like the Zamboni crew, and cooking and cleaning and all that. So we kind of did it with 10 this time, which was a huge. Players had to be a lot more self-sufficient. We had no medical staff or anything that way this time, which luckily nobody got really hurt, but that was a tricky part.
So from 800 people to 10 people.
Yeah, that's how it worked out. 10 hard workers.
Hey, I tell you what, that's damn impressive, if I can say so myself, to go from 800 support staff down to 10 and have 10 people buy in, along with all the players and along with everything, and then to raise. Well, I mean, what does this compare like to any other year, Brent?
We usually, money-wise, we raised, and there's still some coming in, so I think we'll actually hit $2 million pretty quick here. And usually we raise about 1.3. I think our highest was 1.4. So we got an extra 400,000 or 500,000 in the bank this year, which is crazy. I think the weather helped us because it was so cold. It made it, well, we got sympathied, right? And I'm okay with that. If it's, I'll play in -50 again. If it raises an extra $500,000, we know we can do it now, and that's okay. It's well worth it.
What did -50 feel like?
Oh, I don't know. It was our coldest actually with wind chill was -67. It hit the one night. Yeah. So that was dangerous. It was pretty short shifts, that's for sure. You'd go out and you'd feel the cold, and well, you got a lot less sleep because you had to have more people on the bench just rotating and whatnot. You couldn't skate out there for half an hour. It's just impossible. So you'd skate for 2 or 3 minutes, come in and warm up and just kind of rotate that way.
Now, I saw a picture of a pile of broken pucks. I assume that happened in minus 67 then?
Pucks and sticks. You take just a pass. And I don't shoot hard, obviously, but I passed the puck over to my wife, and it was a bad pass, and it hit the side of the boards, nice and soft, and just cracked in half. It was nothing. My stick. Another time, I took a wrist shot, and it just bent in half. Just the material wouldn't hold up. It's pretty crazy. The skates, skate blades, plastic boots around, they were just cracking left, right, and center.
So what do you do? Do you have like 1,000 sticks and a bunch of skates and everything you can imagine in stock?
Yeah, everybody they were prepared for stuff, and some skate blades were taped up and instead of actually repaired, and we just kind of made it work. Yeah, we had lots of, well, we were worried about pucks for a while, but we had lots there initially.
Find a way, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned your wife gets to play with you. That must be a kind of a cool little like thing to do together. I mean, that's pushing each other to the extreme, but to see like your partner doing it along with you must be, I assume, a really cool adventure to go down with together.
Yeah, absolutely. When so I got remarried 10 years after my first wife passed away of cancer, and she embraced the process, and she plays for family members of hers that have cancer issues currently and things. And she's all in. She bought in. We built kind of a building instead of a house for the game. We could have built a house. We said no, we'll build this rink house building thing instead, and that's sort of how it plays out at our place. We have a rink. So.
That's like, yeah, that's super cool. If the world ever goes back to half normalcy, I'm gonna have to come take a tour of this place because I've seen some pictures, but that's really cool. Like, good on you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
No, I don't want to. Well, I don't want to hold you all night. I know you got ball practice sitting behind you. So I want to ask you 5 quick questions and then I'll let you get out of here. And I just appreciate you making some time in your busy day. Well, here's the Crude Master Final 5. 5 quick questions. Shout out to Heath and Tracy McDonald. If you could sit across from one person like I do, Brent, who would you take? Who would you want to sit down and pick their brain?
Who would I want to interview?
Yeah.
Babe Ruth.
Ooh. Yeah, right. You're a baseball guy.
And I like drinking beer.
Well, who doesn't like drinking beer?
So Babe Ruth, yeah.
What was the first beer you had after the game?
First beer, Pilsner bottles.
Pilsner bottles?
Yeah.
Ooh, a man of my own heart.
I'm a farmer from Innisfree, man.
From Innisfree?
Yeah, that's where my parents grew up there, and I still hobby farm out there.
Really?
Yeah.
They got a beautiful set of ball diamonds right across the road from Innisfree. Yeah, like they're.
I'm gonna try and have a red eye tournament there this year. Thinking about it, if things relax, that's the plan.
Well, you have my number because Innisfree is a nice little spot, nice little camping ground there too. Anyways, I did not know that. Learning something. If you could have one guy participate, so you could pick any guy to come play in the game, who would you take?
My dad.
That's fair. I've seen you do many an interview. That's what this is all for. I mean, obviously, I think I just caught that your first wife passed away from cancer too. Yeah. So you've had some pretty rough times then with the cancer side of things.
Yeah. Got me crying. Nice job.
No, I didn't mean to. I just if people have never heard your story, Brent. Like, I think it's good that they do hear it because what you're doing is like super, I don't know, I use the word cool, but it's like not many people push that hard, so to speak.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
What's the worst hour to play in?
The first, because you got to sit there and you got to do the national anthem and it's always bloody cold. And that's when we get the most frostbite. The first hour is horrible because you just got to stand around and you're waiting and waiting. So yeah, I don't like that one.
What's the most random stat you have from the game?
Most random stat. number of goalie sticks tossed over the edge by John Sorensen. We'd be playing 3 a.m, and he'd get pissed off because he got scored on after day 6. And just like, Jesus, John, settle down. So he'd throw a goalie stick over the rink, and I tell kids they could keep it, and he'd get mad at me. So kids would be out there, like, there's no kids this game, but kids would be out there, and I'd say, yeah, just keep the stick. He doesn't want it. So they'd take off the stick, and then he'd get mad at me.
Wasn't the score this year like 2,600 to like 2,500?
Jeez, I don't even know. I honestly can't remember. I'm not sure what it was.
How many
I think
sticks is it? How upset is this guy getting? That's
yeah. Yeah.
We all in rec hockey, we all know that goalie who does not like being scored on.
Yeah. We got that.
You could create one new longest game. Tomorrow you get approached. They say, Brent, we want you to create a new longest game, but it can't be hockey and it definitely can't be ball. What sport would you take?
Curling.
Oh, yeah.
I'd do it at the Innisfree Hall. Innisfree Curling Arena.
That's a good one.
That's where I did my curling growing up. Yeah, curling. It's tough too. It's five people for some like 4 days. I looked it up, and I don't know how they did it, tell you the truth, because the amount of sleep and whatnot, but that might happen. Look for that. I've been talking about it, and and it'll be played in Innisfree, so.
That's cool. Well, hey, go enjoy your kids' ball practice. I appreciate you hopping on, and all the best.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Man, is that a super cool guy or what? Like, not a hockey player, doesn't play hockey, creates the world's longest hockey game, plays in it, gets his wife to play in it. Like, holy Dinah. Like, that should fire you up and make you, like, it don't matter if you're Wayne Gretzky. Brent Saik is every year, it seems, doing something amazing for his community and for him specifically, cancer research. But that isn't where this episode ends. We got our little twist on it here, a double shot. I don't do these very often, but we had a couple local guys, and I grabbed one of them that played in the game. So let's get on to the T-Bar 1 Tale of the Tape. Originally from Lloydminster, he's known for his down-low presence and his chirp game during the noon hour skates. He is the sales and sponsorship coordinator for the city of Lloydminster, a cancer survivor who competed in his first world's longest hockey game. I'm talking about Sam Sayeed. So buckle up, because here we go.
This is Sam Sayeed, and you're listening to the Sean Newman Podcast.
Welcome to the Sean Newman Podcast. Today I'm joined by Mr. Sam Sayeed. So first off, thanks for hopping in, big shooter.
Thank you, Sean, for having me.
I was it's taken a really long time to pull this together because the game was finished on the 15th of February.
Correct.
And we are sitting, by the time this thing gets released, it'll almost be 2 months since it actually happened. So the war wounds have all healed up and all that good stuff.
Yep.
And I got Brent Saik on the start of this episode, so you're the second part of it. So I got to hear, about how the game was created, how that all came to be. But, it was your first time. I'm curious, what made you want to do something, like this isn't go play for 24 hours. Like this is a hefty time commitment on top of the COVID and everything else. Where do you want to start? You want to start with how you got involved with this thing?
Well, I've followed the game since about 2015 is when I first kind of locked eyes on it and followed it, and then I saw they did it in 2018 again. I was a little late for that one, but I did email them just to reach out to say, how can I be involved? How can I help? Obviously, I wanted to play, but I was willing to be a part of it somehow. And then that's when they informed me that it was every 3 years. So fast forward 3 years later, I saw that they were doing it again and literally just forwarded that same email off. And, there's some things that happened before that, obviously. One thing I'll give you guys credit for your radiothon, when I saw what you guys did there, and when I saw Mikey after his run, just kind of how happy and emotional he was, it inspired me. For sure. Now, I wasn't thinking anything as physical as what he did, because that's unbelievable. But I knew I wanted to do something, and I guess my personal story is, I was fortunate enough to beat cancer once so far, and this just seemed like a really unique opportunity to try and help others have that same fate and that same good fortune. So, that's charity, and also I guess charity's always been a part of me. I think you can gather that from talking to my folks. I just think it's kind of in me to want to help out, and this came up, and 2020, we had a rough year in terms of cancer. In 2020, lost my first cousin to brain cancer early 2020, and our dear friend Prem Agarwal got diagnosed late 2020, and he passed away just a couple weeks before the game. So honestly felt like this was, I was meant to play in this game this year. So it kind of came together like that, and I just jumped in first 2 feet, and away we go.
Well, for the listeners, I don't know, Sam, we go back. We didn't go, like, I was older than you in school and everything, but we've kind of been in the same circle. I joke around about noon hour hockey.
Yeah.
And
which I'm missing dearly, by the way.
Well, and the thing is when I heard you were playing in this, I was like, Sam, he's playing in the world's longest hockey game? What is he going to do? Elbow about 8 guys in the chops, right? And be just beaking the entire time? Like, this should be entertaining.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you'd had cancer. Like, when and where did that happen?
I was diagnosed, I think, I was so young at the time, kind of going through the motions. I was diagnosed in 2005. And then I think it came from, like, I had a few bouts of tonsillitis, and they decided to do an ultrasound, and I found that I had thyroid cancer. So I was 2005. I had my first surgery, got my thyroid, half of my thyroid removed in 2005.
I feel like a complete and utter moron. Thyroid, can you just, what are we talking about?
Well, you know what? I wish I knew more about it. Like I said, I was so young, and I was just going through the motions, but it's in my neck.
Okay.
It's in your neck, and it controls, I think, like lots of your hormones and stuff like that. I don't exactly know. I probably should know more, but
no, it's all good.
Yeah.
I go thyroid. I'm like,
lots of people have take thyroid supplements and stuff. It kind of messes with your levels and your hormones, and your weight loss, weight gain, that kind of thing. Just depends on what side you fall on. But I was losing weight a lot. I think they had so that's kind of why they looked into it, and they found it. So I had half removed in 2005, the second half removed in 2007. And I think on one of them, they ended up finding a bunch of lymph nodes that they didn't like either. So I think they removed a whole pile of lymph nodes as well in one of them. And then, just boated with a few radiation treatments. And I was cleared in 2015. So about 10 years I battled it.
Yeah, so for 10, how old are you in 2005? I would have been
I was 17.
Yeah, so I was 19, right? In summer in that ballpark.
Yeah, it was I think it was the end of grade 11 is when I had the surgery.
Shit, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
When you first told me that you were going to play in it, that you'd battled cancer, I was I always say I live under a rock. I'm like, where do I live? Do I not pay attention to things?
So I don't talk about it a whole bunch. I always kept it pretty close to my chest for different reasons. But like I said, it's just one of those things. I just didn't really. It's not your fault that you didn't know. There's probably quite a few people that don't know, but it's not something I really talked about. And I felt like part of me wanting to get involved with this game was, initially back in 2018 was to have these conversations and was to be more open about it and more proud about what I went through. So certainly that was accomplished by playing in this game and getting in that room with a bunch of guys that are, have been affected one way or another.
Well, I got to give you my little short story on when you were going to play. I was sitting at lunch with Tyler Foster and James Rogers. Yeah. And I was sitting there and I was going, I'm pretty sure Sammy didn't train at all for this. I'm like, he is nuts. I can't imagine as a hockey guy being on my skates, going through that and not training. And got to give credit to Tyler Foster. He looks at me and goes, this coming from the guy who biked across the country with no training biking. And I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Slap me in the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you wish? I guess and as soon as Foster told me that little, hey, you're an idiot. You've done this before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, right. Okay, fair. I'm a jackass.
Yeah.
Do you wish you'd put in a little extra and just been this would have maybe got a little easier?
For sure. I didn't find out I was playing till a couple days before Christmas, right? And But the Christmas season was good to me.
Christmas season is the Christmas season.
In terms of beverages and food, right? But I started probably January 4th. Essentially, when I went back to work, I'd go up to the gym 3-4 times a week. I'd ride the bike pretty hard, lift some weights. I felt pretty good going into it. Would I have liked another month to train? Probably. It probably would have helped. But, in all honesty, I don't know if any amount of training could prepare you for something like that, regardless of the weather. Obviously, when the cold came, I mean, nothing can prepare you for that kind of temperature. But yeah, I just don't. To put it in perspective, we had a guy, and I wish I got to talk to him a little bit more. His name was Troy Schaub, and I didn't hear this story firsthand because we didn't get to talk to each other a whole bunch. But I had heard that he had participated in something, the Alacama race. It's in Chile anyways.
Okay.
And I think it's like something like 7 marathons in 7 days or 8 marathons in 8 days or something like that. And he said that this game was significantly harder than that. And he's running in the desert, like on sand. Like I did a little bit of research on that race, but he said this was significantly harder. So to my point, I just don't know if any amount of training can really prepare you.
Well, and listeners are just going to have heard, right?
Yeah.
That Brent Saik says, I put the skates on once every, 36 months or whatever the games happen, whatever it is. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
there's a few others like that as well. I'd only put the skates on for this. So that's amazing to me. Like,
that is amazing.
I had said earlier when we were chatting about it that, given everything that's going on, if we were playing hockey regularly at noon, that's, 3 hours a week, that would have been at least something, right?
Right.
But, and so I thought it would have been way easier if I was playing, but now that I did it, I don't think it would have helped a whole bunch because, you're at noon, you put your skates on, you take them off in an hour, right? And there was times where I had my skates on for 7 hours, which, like I say, nothing can really prepare you for that. But yeah, kudos to those guys that come out there and battle and don't regularly play hockey because that would be very tough.
Yeah, there's just a lot of, what was it? It was 200 and how many hours?
Yeah, we don't know the exact number yet, but around 252.
We don't know the exact number, but it's like 252, folks.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was, for sure.
Will your name go in the Guinness Book of World Records, or is it just the group?
I think it's just the group. I'm not sure. I think everyone gets like an individual slip, or you can put in a plaque or something like that. But I think it's just Brent Saik and friends. I'm not sure. I've never actually seen it.
Put it in a card. It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm a Guinness Book of World Record breaker.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing. As I was discussing this with people and telling what I'm doing, everyone was really excited for the Guinness World Book of Records to be a record holder. And to be honest with you, that was cool, but I didn't really care. Yeah. It'd be neat, but that's not why me or any of us was doing this.
Well, what's the drug called? PCLX001, talking about curing cancer.
Yeah.
Not mitigating some of the side effects of cancer, curing cancer.
Did Saker talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so going to your previous question as to why I wanted to do it and why kind of the stars aligned for this year and that was a big part of it, right? I think, don't quote me, but I think typically they're fundraising for, some equipment or machinery to make things easier on the doctors and the researchers or the patient. But this year specifically, it was, a drug treatment that they have developed, and it's about putting it into human trials, which I just think, we're all on pins and needles, just kind of waiting to see how that plays out. Because if we're a part of something like that, I mean, we could have this discussion again, and I'd have a million other things to tell you, just how good it felt and how rewarding it was. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, that's. I'll say this. I think it's pretty crazy. I feel like the cure for cancer has been in 1,000 movies, where they cure cancer and it's in this utopia.
Yeah.
Right. The fact we're talking about it here.
Really
in the middle of a freaking pandemic, among other things, right? It's just and to come from the world's longest hockey game, right?
Yeah.
Or part of the funding, obviously.
For sure, yeah. But even, to say it's being, it started in Alberta is neat, right? It's kind of a feather in our cap, and it's powerful for sure.
Tell me about the nerves on the drive to Edmonton.
Well, they started long before that. I mean, so this is something obviously most of this is completely out of my comfort zone. Obviously not the hockey, that's in my wheelhouse, but staying in a camper, I'd never really done before. Well, we had a cabin. We have a cabin, right? So, yeah, and honestly, leading up.
What gave you the biggest problem when you got up there with a cabin or a camper? What was the thing you're like, well, what do I do now?
Well, honestly, like the power, everyone was plugging in their campers when we got to site, and the power was kind of in and out. But I knew, and I made one quick phone call. And they're like, "Yeah, just do this, and you'll be good." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." But obviously, the heat was the biggest issue, right? I don't know if you talked to Saker about that. But
no, but I heard in what did he say? Minus 60.
No, it's like propane. You're talking
No. Don't finish your thought, because then we didn't talk about it.
Well, propane liquefies at like minus 40 or something like that, right? So when all our campers are heated by propane, once it reaches minus 40, which it was the whole time, none of that propane was getting into the campers, right? So
your campers were no heat?
Most, yeah. We all. I'm pretty sure 90% of us woke up or went up there at one time with zero heat in there, and it was just an ice box.
So what did you do?
Well, we scattered around, tried to find a place to lay your head for a little while. There's a couple warm places where we could just go kind of
Where was the best warm place? Where were you trying to beat everybody to?
The massage in the clubhouse for sure, yeah. That's where, but I mean, the whole time people were sleeping in those, right? But for me, the way I prepare to get on the ice, I only had 4, at most 5 hours to sleep. So yeah, that was one thing for sure was the heat. And and leading up, the nerves, I just found like the people organizing the game had so many things going on. It wasn't just organizing a regular game like they had done in the past, right? They're dealing with Alberta health regulations and everything like that. So it almost felt like it was something new every week that they were make sure to do this or make sure to bring that. So we were getting list after list. So the anxiety of that, like, holy crap, all the things I got to remember to take and all the things I got to remember to bring. So that, added to the nerves a little bit. And I knew for me and for the new guys that were playing, there's 30 new guys this year. Typically they have hundreds and hundreds of volunteers there to take care of whatever you need. You want somebody to tape your feet, they'll tape your feet. You want somebody to clean a wound or bring you food or whatever, they'll do that. But I know this time we had no medical help. We didn't even have I don't know if I'm supposed to say, but we didn't even have a paramedic on stand or anything like that. So we knew we had to take care of ourselves more, which was fine for me because I don't know any different. But the guys that were playing and played in previous years, they had chiropractors on site, massage therapists, whatever they wanted, they were completely taken care of. So just like what I had to bring and remember made me nervous. But once we were there and playing, I didn't use any of it. It's just one of those things, the anticipation of it. And then you realize like, oh, I probably didn't need to be that nervous, but and I obviously the marathon aspect of it too. I have never done anything like that, as you can tell.
I mean, Sammy, you don't have very few people do what you just did, right? You're in such a fine, select company.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. That's a feather in your cap, right? Like, I mean, to have the balls to sign up and then to go through with it and make it all the way.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, that's something nobody can ever take away from you. The Guinness Book of World Records can certainly go to somebody else, right? I'm sure there'll be others that try. I think Saker was saying a group out of Buffalo.
Yep.
And I'm sure, in a couple of years, they're going to try and break it again and everything else. But nobody can ever take this one away from you. You're a part of it.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And just like on the nerves, my solid area was I knew I was going to play hockey. Like there could be a million other things that I could be doing. That like I always thought about it as like guys who worked on the rigs, right? They go away from their comfort zones and their families for 21 days and they're up at all hours of the night, but they're like working on a rig, right? Like I'm playing hockey. So I wasn't as nervous as I thought I would be. I'll put it that way.
No, that's cool. I like I say, I've been trying to get you on, but I've been trying to line it up with you two yahoos, and it just hasn't worked.
Well, that's not my fault. That's Saker's fault.
Well, true.
He's
very
doing 100
true.
things. He's probably building the baseball diamond in his backyard right now.
Well, for the people who didn't watch the interview prior to this and just listened, Saker's literally at his kid's baseball practice in the outfield, like talking to his phone. I'm like, oh, this is a new one. I've never done this before.
Yeah.
I enjoy this a little bit better, as most people probably know.
I think, like I said, I just met him when I met him a couple weeks before the game, and I spent some time with him at the game. He's a remarkable individual, but he's got a lot of things going on for sure.
So I think all the noon hour group wants to know: Did you run your mouth the entire game?
There was times. There was a lot of guys out there doing that, so I didn't really have to. There's a lot of guys keeping it light. I know there was one, the Brodziak and Lebrec feud was unbelievable. Anytime they were on the ice together, they were going after each other, and it was awesome. But no, I stayed pretty reserved, maybe because I was exhausted, but there was a lot of guys doing the chirping. I didn't need to, so...
Any hits behind the net, into the boards, grinding up in the corners?
Not really. When it's minus 40 the entire time.
You're telling me they got soft Sammy? That's what they got? They didn't get the guy who runs me over in the corner, then laughs at me and chases me down the ice? That's what they got?
Well, you had to really pace yourself there, and we only had 40 guys for this whole thing, so I couldn't be responsible for taking somebody out and making the other team down a player. So, yeah, I was more soft than usual, I would say, but honestly, it was important to not go that hard and pace yourself and fit in with the pace that everyone else is doing. And yeah, just on the pace too, is one thing I always say was, it was so cold. I can't emphasize that enough, how cold it was. So you wanted to move around enough to get the blood flowing and to stay active and be warm. But if you go over that edge where you start to sweat, well, that sweat essentially just freezes on you and makes you that much colder. So a lot of the time we were literally just skating around to stay warm. There wasn't actual hockey being played a whole bunch. So
tell me about minus 60 and playing hockey.
Minus 60?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
The coldest point. I thought
it got to minus 55. We were told one night.
Oh, I thought maybe I'm remembering.
It could have flirted with minus 60.
Anyway,
for sure.
Doesn't matter.
But
coldest night. What the hell does it matter?
Minus 55 is very cold. I don't know if I've done anything outside of minus 55. Like you guys in the oil patch know, at what point do you get shut down and say it's too cold? Do we go home? Right? It's got to be right around minus 50.
Well, are we talking salesmen or are we talking rig hands? What are we talking here?
Well, even what I used to do, like on a crew truck, right? Like,
it's well before minus 50.
Yeah.
I would say minus 40. Yeah. Most people are calling her quits and staying home.
So to be completely honest with you, the one night is minus 55. I wasn't cold, and the boys are going to be livid at me for saying that. I wasn't cold. My nipples, for some reason, were very cold, and my nose. But so that was minus 55. The next night would have been somewhere around the same, probably minus 50, and I was frozen head to toe. Everything was absolutely freezing. I could barely move. Nothing I could do to get that blood flowing. So it's just, I don't know if it was adrenaline or what it was or exhaustion, but I handled it okay. Like my feet didn't get cold once, which was nice.
What was the for me, I would think your feet probably blistered, blah, 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 wearing anything for that long.
Yeah.
And the way skates are formed to your feet. I just don't think there's a way you can get away from a little bit of lace bite or ankles or whatever. Yeah. What was the one that just drove you absolutely ballistic?
I'll be honest with you, Sean. My feet were in pretty good shape. Like,
okay.
I didn't have any open wounds, thankfully. I taped. I used a little bit of duct tape, mainly blister prevention tape, and a little bit of like that pro athletic tape. But honestly, my feet held up pretty good. They didn't start hurting either till like day 6 or 7. They hurt every day after that, but I was lucky. Like they didn't start hurting on day 3 or 4. I waited a while, but when they started hurting, they really started hurting. But luckily didn't have any blisters or anything like that to deal with. But a lot of guys were like lace bite. I've never had lace bite. I didn't get it this time.
Lace bite is probably one of the. Yeah. It looks like you're a big old puss.
Yeah.
But it hurts.
No, I know. They said they were pretty confident that everyone's going to get lace bite at some point. I don't know if I did enough because I just put, and I've been doing it for years, but just a little of that padding right there.
Yeah.
And I tighten my skates. You know that. Like I reef on my skates, and I didn't get lace bite. I know lots of guys were dealing with lace bite. I thought I had lace bite a couple of years ago, but evidently I did not because it wasn't near as much pain as what some of these guys were going through. But yeah, we had one guy that, I don't know if you saw the pictures. I sent you that, but he destroyed his toes like the second day. Like I've never seen toes look that bad. I think it was frostbite, and it was ugly. I don't know if his feet will ever be the same.
Well, I'd read a quote from one of Brent's interviews that said it took 8 months for feet to come back to full feeling. And I was like, Oh, that can't be healthy.
So I chatted with a few guys. I'd met one guy a couple weeks before the game who was just out at Saker's Acres going for a skate, and I chatted with him, and he's played in a few of them, and he said, yeah, like anywhere from a month to 8 months, your feet will not feel the same, like not feel normal.
So how do your feet feel?
Right now they're good. It took about a month. Like, so when the game first ended, my big toes were numb. I didn't even feel them. And then the rest of my feet felt like I was walking on pins and needles, like really tingly and just a weird feeling. That went away in about 2 weeks. But then when I started to get feeling back in my big toes, they started to feel the same, like tingly and pins and needles. And it took, like I said, about a month to shake it out. But it was weird. Yeah, it was honestly. But I think it's, like you say, like Mikey ran 124 kilometers on shoes, but I think skates are a different nightmare because you're balancing on that little blade, right? And you're using your toes so much to turn and stop and everything like that. So
I just go back to, I think it doesn't matter when you do something to the extreme that pushes you so far past like the line of normalcy.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
Yeah.
Like me and you, can you imagine me and you doing 124.3 kilometers in
No
12
chance.
hours?
Yeah.
Like I would be crawling on the,
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't even be crawling. I'd be
Yeah.
laying at the side,
Yeah.
like just,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would have quit, but I mean, it's running's, I don't know. For a guy who runs like that, though, he's probably thinking skating would be a complete disaster.
Oh,
How do you do that?
probably.
Where we're the other way, right? Like, I'd way rather skate for 124 kilometers. I don't know what that looks like, but I'd rather skate than run.
Yeah, you should have had
Gliding, you can glide.
you should have had a
one of those-
monitor on you so they
yeah.
could have showed how far you went over.
One of those Fitbits or something. Yeah, that
Yeah.
would have been neat. Yeah.
Fitbits don't pick up skating as well as walking. They're
Yeah.
really good for walking, but
Yeah.
as soon as you start like biking or
Yeah.
like they pick it up, but they don't
Yeah.
pick it up nearly as well.
So me and Chuck were talking about, after staring at this beautiful table here, one of the guys, I think it was Gerwing, wore one of those while playing hockey a couple times, and I think he figured out that he burned about 700 calories in a noon hour skate.
Okay.
And you know how we go a noon hour. It's obviously, harder than what we were doing out there. So even if you could cut that in half and say I burned 400 calories an hour out there, well, we were doing it for 12 hours a day, right? So the amount, for sure, the amount of calories that were burned, that was insane. Yeah.
Did you hop on a scale before you went? And when you got back, you didn't do that?
Bother. I probably lost, I'd say 10, 15 pounds probably. But when you lose weight like that, you ain't keeping it off. And then when you, like what I did, which I don't know if anybody else did, but I ate like I got a prison for about 3 weeks after. So it came back real fast. Yeah.
What was your go-to meal on the way home? What did you're like,
There's a really awesome pizza place in Sherrod Park that I stopped. Pizza's my favorite. I eat too much of it as it is, but yeah, I couldn't wait to dive into that.
You don't have to feel bad. I mean, pizza's like, dang, a good slice
Well,
of
that's
the
probably
old
what Mikey
za.
Dubs ate after his run too, is my guess. Get those carbs back in him.
I don't know, man. I tell you what, like you talking like people won't want to hear you weren't cold at like minus 55, whatever, right?
Well, I
That's
was
weird.
cold the next night. Just that one night for whatever reason.
Right.
Yeah.
But Mikey Dubs, when he finished that, I know he was emotional and he was tired and
Yeah.
whatever, but he was weirdly, like, still ridiculously with it,
Yeah.
like bouncing around like not Bambi, like a little deer.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, you sure you're okay? Because this is pretty crazy what you just pulled off,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
I
I
think-
highly doubt you were bouncing around after
No
10
chance.
straight
No.
days.
Well, the sleep deprivation is something that I had never dealt with. Like I avoided red eye hockey tournaments for years and years and years because I like to sleep. I don't want to be up in the middle of the night. So, the sleep deprivation like that. The last night I was up, and I didn't really sleep the whole time, but the last night I was up basically from 10 p.m. till 10 a.m. the next day, essentially playing hockey. So I didn't get any sleep that night. You know what? It would have been more because I would have woke up that morning of the last skate. I would have woke up. I would have played my shift there, and then I would have just hung around. So yeah, it would have been 24 hours. I would have been awake on that last day at least. Yeah. So, but I think that's Mikey's personality too, right? Like I don't even if he was awake for 24 hours, I think he'd still be live and energetic and bringing in the good vibes. That's just who he is. But
What's the one thing during the game that you just went like? I saw the picture of the pile of pucks from the one night where and me and Brent talked about that a little bit about like the puck's just like a pass and the puck break, and it's like for any hockey player that's like like I remember that as a kid in some of the old small town rural rinks where it got so cold you'd take a slap shot or wrist shot and all of a sudden the puck would break off. But it was only ever like one.
Yeah.
Never like a pile of them
Yeah.
where you're like this is weird. But that's one that comes to mind. Is there other things that while you're playing, I don't know, like the score being 2,000 or 25 or 2,600 or 2,500, whatever it was that even like, were you even paying attention to that?
I had not really. I did have people like texting me and like giving us the scoreboards and stuff like that. So I was able to monitor it a little bit. And there was one time that our team we had a big lead and we ended up losing that lead by about 80 goals. And at that point I started to watch to say, holy, we got to chip away at this here. But the pucks, to your point.
You're saying you lost an 80-goal lead?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did. But we got it back. And then some. Yeah. You don't hear that on your podcast very often. But the pucks, to your point, like, I'd seen it a few times inside as well, like one or two times. Even at the Civic Center, I think I saw one where it must have just been an old puck and it hits the post and a chunk breaks off. But at the frequency that this was happening, for me, was astonishing. Like, and they weren't just pieces breaking off; they were exploding into like half a dozen pieces. So yeah, for sure, the pile of pucks was incredible. Yeah, I don't know if Saker told you, he probably went through at least 1,000 pucks for that whole time.
1,000 pucks?
At least, I would say.
1,000 pucks.
Yeah. Well, we lost. We lost our group alone. We were out there for 5 hours. We probably lost 50 or 80 just from
over
breaking.
the boards.
Over the boards and breaking. Yeah. So, and how it worked with the COVID stuff is once we threw it over the boards, the volunteers couldn't throw them back because COVID's going to live in -60.
I'm not going to bring up COVID because I think you listen long enough, you understand where I'm at now. But I mean, that's kind of ridiculous myself.
Yeah.
How
Tell me
about
it.
how about the property? The Sakers Acres intrigues me a little bit. Essentially, he's built a rink with living quarters. Like, can you just explain it a little bit to the common person? 'Cause I feel like I enjoy a good rink, right? All right.
Yeah.
And this guy's built one specifically for raising money.
Yeah, for this game, yeah. So I think he's built, like, he's had a couple, I don't know for sure, but I think he's had a couple properties and he's put up rinks, and then he got this one, I don't know how long ago, but I think the stars aligned for him. So he built his house, essentially, as well as the Zamboni shop. So he's got a house off to the side where he lives, and the Zamboni shop's there. And then off the rink, he's got our big dressing room, and then above the dressing room, he's got I called it like a player's lounge or like a clubhouse, but yeah, he's got TVs and stuff set up. He's got old chairs from Rexall in there. He's got a little kitchen where we eat and stuff like that. And but I think Ron McLean called it a slice of heaven or something on Hockey Day in Canada, because we were out there for Hockey Day in Canada, and yeah, it's incredible. It's really awesome.
Did you sneak a Bud Light while you were playing at all?
Yeah, we did a little bit of that. Yeah.
Now I know how you could go 10 days.
Yeah. There was guys that snuck a few more than I did, but that was something we enjoyed. And from playing hockey, there's nothing like a cold beer after a game, right?
100%.
But we were like, when we were done skating, we still weren't done. We had to be back in 6 hours, right?
I
So
tell
we
you
were never
what,
really done.
playing senior after, the best part was after a hockey game and just sitting there and you're beat up and you're tired and cracking a cold one. I don't know if I could have had a cold one and then went and played, but having one, taking a break, going back out, I think I could pull that off.
But the other thing is there's this internal pressure to catch as much sleep as you want, right? So you're halfway done that beer after your skate, and you're looking at the clock, like counting it down. Okay, if I get up there, grab a quick bite to eat, get up there, I might have 2 hours to sleep, and so it's kind of that for me, anyways, because I wasn't a great sleeper. It was that internal pressure to get as many Z's as I could.
Did you become a good sleeper at the end of it? Like, you couldn't just hit the pillow and out?
No chance. No. I in the mornings, like when I got off the ice around like 3-4 a.m., I could sleep for a little while. But then you play your shift in the afternoon. Let's say you're off at 3 p.m. And you're back on the ice after 3 p.m. You're back on the ice probably 11, 12, or 1 a.m. And there's no way I could get any sleep in that time frame.
Well, that's cool, man. I wanted to bring you on because I just like we go to if Noon Hour ever comes back.
Yeah.
Kirkpatrick, you bastard, wherever you are,
Yeah.
got me all excited with the email because I'm like, holy crap, we might actually get to play.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's being shot out of the sky right now.
Yeah.
Like I don't know when we're getting to play.
Yeah,
But
doesn't look good.
you know, we with playing with you, Sammy, and you know, and you listen along the podcast, I'm like, I mean, we got to have you on. We got to find a way to do this, right? And I got to give you kudos because I'd sent you in a text one. You know, you'd mentioned Mikey Dubs running kind of inspired you. You know, everybody in Lloyd right now that are going out of their way to do these like really cool things to help raise awareness, money, et cetera, is really cool. And it's funny, you don't need to train 2 years to go be part of something or create something to raise a bunch of money. Yep. And I was saying to you in the text and kind of a little off air, well, that's where the board comes in. Is I'm in the middle of creating a new idea that's a little bit wonky. Stupid idea is what I call it, right? Like proof of concept. But
lots of good stories come from stupid ideas.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah. And so a group of 6 of us are going to ride to Mr. Quick Dick McDick in Tufnell, Saskatchewan and back.
Yeah, that's
and
so
push
cool.
ourselves out of the comfort
I
zone.
incorporated him. I know you guys formed a good relationship here, but that's cool. How many of you guys are doing it?
6.
6 of you?
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
But that comes from you because I watched and followed along with what you were doing, and I'm like, you know what? And Foster, I got to give a shout out to Foster too, because Foster like pretty much slapped me in the face. He's like, well, you didn't train either, you jackass. I'm like, fair point. I didn't, right?
Yeah.
And to watch you go do it and see what you guys did, I go, we can do something like not a hockey game.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do a hockey game. I don't have Sakers Acres to pull that off on, right? And not to mention the
well, there's lots of space out at T-Bar. Maybe we got to build one.
wrong time right now.
Yeah, that's true.
But you've really inspired me, and I laugh about it. I'm like, now that we're going to try and pull this off in June, and as we start to define it and get closer to it, I'll give more details. But as we get closer to it, I'm like, hopefully it inspires somebody else to keep it going and keep, because, I mean, man, when you wake up out of bed and you just get moving on an idea.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy how quickly you can turn it into something that people will follow.
Yeah.
And can do a lot of good for,
whatever cause was close to your heart, right?
That's right.
Yeah. No, that's well. I appreciate the kind words and to your point for sure. If you guys inspired me and I inspired you, maybe the next person you'll inspire will do something great as well. And man, isn't that the spice of life? If we can all inspire each other to do good things.
Well, what's really bothering me right now, it's been bothering me for like 4 months. He's like, I fucking hate social media right now. I wasn't going to drop an F-bomb on this one, but I'm going to drop it right now. But like, the entire world wants us to be divided, and all I think is we just got to find a way to pull back together.
I agree.
Inspiring individuals, doing things that are something that everybody can be like, how can you be mad at a guy going and playing? Because politics will factor into it somehow,
we got
right?
smoked. We got smoked on a few Facebook posts for sure. But
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you were playing in the middle of a pandemic?
Yeah, that. Yeah, and I don't know if it was so much that we were playing in the middle of a pandemic, but I think it was a lot of angry parents, and rightfully so, that their kids don't get to play. Why do we get to play? Why did the government give us an exception, right? But when you think about it, I mean, no kid can do what we did. I mean, we were isolated from our families for weeks, right? And
yeah, but the hatred shouldn't come at you guys.
Yeah,
that should go at the government,
right? Yeah.
Like,
and maybe it did. Maybe it got deflected to us. We didn't honestly. It ticks you off a little bit, but we didn't let it stop us. I mean, we had a job to do at the end of the day, and we knew what we were doing. And I don't know if Saker brought it up, but holding a lot of the suggestions was, why can't they do it next year, the year after, when things are better and everyone can play? And it's just like, we have a chance to really help people with cancer, struggling with cancer right now. And if we waited longer, those people that are lined up for the drug trial, they won't be here. They'll already be dead. So we have to do it now.
Well, that's part of it. The other part of it that people don't understand is when you put in, like, you think of Brent Saik, and this was the 7th hockey game, right? And you get in, this is when as soon as you miss one of those, now, what is it, every 36 months?
Yeah, no, every 3 years. Every 3 years.
Yeah. So every 36 months, you do another hockey game.
Yeah.
Now, if he misses one because of the pandemic, now you got to wait 6 years.
Yeah.
Or it throws off his entire schedule.
Sure.
And as the guy who's motivated to make sure these goes off without a hitch.
Yep.
As soon as you throw that out, I think of myself in the Dusty Man Hockey Tournament, which is not raising $1.5 million, but it still does good for the community.
Yeah.
As soon as you snap me out of that, it's hard to get my mind and body around, like, how do we start
It's
this
almost
tournament
like
back
you
up?
lose momentum a little bit, right?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as much as it is like there's people that need it, there's always going to be people that need it.
Yeah.
It's part on the group that puts it together, in that when you have a plan and it's just like the train's moving,
Yeah.
as soon as you stop that train, it takes a lot to fire it back up to get it going again.
Yeah, and credit to Saik of how he handled it, because I truly believe that the government threw everything at him to get him to cancel it. And everything they threw at him in classic Saik form, he just sat back and said, okay, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do whatever you need. We'll do it. And we did it.
And now, what I think I understand now is no matter what comes up, the game's going to happen, right? Because he's jumped through every hoop.
Yeah.
And this, is, hopefully, knock on wood, is going to be the worst year that, for that game, 3 years away.
Yeah.
It should be the worst year, and in 3 years' time, it should be easier to put on. And all you're going to remember is, listen, guys, this is nothing.
Yeah.
Last time we had to build a fence around this place and allow 8 people to help instead of 800.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
oh.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And, to that point, sometimes with the way things are going on, you almost just got to do it. Find a way to do it, and don't get discouraged. And, yeah, that's Saker. He just, anything that came at him was, okay, we'll do it. And, just to touch on COVID, and we don't talk about it a lot, but at the start, I think, especially with the Facebook posts and, the little bit of attention it got, it became, how are they going to do this during COVID? But as soon as that sunk in, it became a cold weather game. Like, how are they going to do this in these temperatures? So just
the cold weather was a bit of a blessing then.
Yeah, I took the attention.
Changed the narrative.
Yeah, I did. It did a little bit, and probably helped with our fundraising a little bit. So I think we're, as of right now, last time I checked, we're like, I think $10,000 away from $2 million, which is unbelievable. So, and I think the cold weather, we'll never know for sure, but I think the cold weather played a part in that.
How many goals did you score?
Just over 200.
200?
Yeah, 212.
Sam Sayeed, the goal scoring machine.
Well, you know what? It's funny. I'll be as humble as I can. I think I could have scored more. I like to think I'm a pass first setup kind of guy. So
I'm going to put out a poll. I'm going to put out a poll on Twitter when this airs. If Sam Sayeed is a pass first type of guy.
And the other portion is the goalies. Like, you think the players had it bad. Those goalies were in terrible shape with that weather, right? So we stopped deking them day 3. Like, we were just putting them at their pillows, and sometimes they snuck through. But we were not. We were even like 2-on-0s passing it across. We weren't even doing that. Just because those goalies at minus 50 or minus 55, if they slide across and stretch out their groin or pull their groin, well, now we're down a goalie. Right? I mean, there's only 40 of us. We can't pull out players from other places. So, yeah, it was interesting to see how they were going in. That's for sure.
Oh man, this has been a lot of fun. Well, let's do the Crude Master Final Five, and I'll get you out of here.
Sure.
Just 5 quick questions, partially around the game.
Yeah.
Shout out to Heath and Tracy McDonald from Crude Master, supported the podcast from the very beginning. Now, you know what my first one's going to be. If you could sit across from anyone like I do, who would you take?
Oh, man. I've heard you ask that question a million times. I didn't think I'd ever have to answer it. Oh, God. Can I come back to that one?
Sure. We'll leave it till the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. If you could bring one guy or invite one celebrity to participate in the next game, who would you take?
McDavid. He would do a lot of the skating for us.
Yeah, but he wouldn't be allowed to deke. He'd be like, McDavid, cut out that deking stuff.
Yeah, he wouldn't need to. But I think even some of the noon hour guys, I think, would have a lot of fun with it. I don't know. Somebody really good, though. That's for sure. Somebody that can do the back checking for me.
What was the worst hour to play in?
Yeah, there was one night overnight where the wind just howling the entire time. you could see like the, around here you see the dust tornadoes. Well, you could see that with the ice or the snow on the ice was going up and it just didn't stop. And I can't remember when it was, but I remember one night the wind howling a lot more than it had.
Don't get caught in the snow tornado on the ice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was there was a lot of hours were tough, but there was a lot of really fun hours too. Like that was one thing that surprised me a lot too, was just how much fun you could have while being physically, mentally, and emotionally drained. Saker said in one of his other interviews too, like, we laughed the whole time. Like it was almost like we've been playing together for years and years and years. The chemistry in that room was unbelievable. So that surprised me. Like I say, just how emotional things got and how much fun it still was. So yeah, I know I strayed a little bit from your question, but
No, that's cool. I think anytime you get a group of guys or ladies for that, a group of people.
Yeah, we run, girl.
Oh yeah, his wife.
Janelle,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Anytime you get a group of,
Outscored him.
did she really?
She did.
Anytime you get a group of people who rally around a common cause and then on top of all that are put through the ringer,
Yeah.
that's gonna make probably lifelong bonds out of a few people for you, I would think.
Absolutely, for sure. What we went through a lot of stuff that is, some of it's talked about, some of it's not, and yeah, like you say, when you have sort of a rewarding experience like that and you do it with a group of strangers, yeah, those bonds are strong. And I know we're all waiting on pins and needles till we can have a big party at Saker's Acres again. So yeah, for sure.
Are you gonna play in 2024?
Yeah, I will. I mean, I don't know how it works because there's 30 new guys this year. So for years and years and years, typically they'd only have 4 or 5 new guys. So I don't know how it works with the guys that had played previously, but if I'm called upon, I'll absolutely play. Yeah. For sure.
And finally, your last one. What was? Well, I guess I got to go back to your interview one, but I was just curious, and maybe you've already talked about it, but what is playing in this game, pushing yourself to what I think of as the brink, and I could be wrong, but pushing yourself further than you've probably pushed yourself ever. Mm-hmm. What has it taught about yourself?
Yeah, that's a tough one, and Saker said that. I heard it a bunch of times. He said it before, he said it during, he said it after, that this game will change your life and you'll be a different person leaving this game. And I don't know. Maybe I haven't pinpointed it yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. Maybe off the top of my head, a confidence thing. Just knowing you can take your body to that place and your mind to that place. It's good to know. It's cool. I'll be honest. The people who knew I was playing in this game, who understood the commitment and the magnitude of the event, they would have doubted me for sure. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised nor offended. So just like I say, just knowing that I can take my body and my mind to that brink or wherever it's going and enjoy the experience as much as I did. I think it probably boosted my confidence and maybe when adversity hits in the future, you can, deal with it in a different way. But that's a tough question.
I know it's a tough question. It's cool. I think you'll think on it later on in life.
Yeah. But that from your biking too, when you made it across Canada, that feeling you must have had at the end.
So what I always tell people about that is there was bets placed. They might have been just to have a little bit of fun, but there was a lot of people who didn't think we could do it.
Yeah.
And I remember my oldest brother, Jay, saying, and I don't know if he'll remember this or not, but he goes, Sean won't come back until it's done. He won't show his face up here until he's across.
Yeah.
And I was pretty determined I was never coming home until I was across country. So to be able to walk around with that's, you talk about confidence, feather in your cap, just knowing what you're capable of is a very powerful thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, if I could talk about the end of the game, just briefly.
Sure. I didn't even ask about the end of the game.
Well, I don't know if Saik told you, but they involved his little guy, Jesse, who was around the whole time. They put him into the bubble. They took him out of school. He was around us the whole time. So they involve him, and it's really neat how they do it. Is at the start, he comes and plays, and he takes a couple shifts, takes the face off, and then when he leaves the ice, the clock starts for Guinness. So... And he's, like I say, he's around the whole time. We're all getting to know him. He's a great kid. And then at the end, you start towards the end, you start to kind of ask, like, when do we know we're done? Like, how does that work? And Brenda, Brent's sister, she just said, once you see Jesse getting his gear on, you're close. So it was around 5 in the morning on the 15th, and he got down to the room and started to put his gear on, and you can honestly feel like the buzz in the room and the anticipation start to grow. And when he hit the ice, surprisingly the pace picked up like a lot. Like we were playing real hockey again. We were snapping the puck around, and guys were stopping on pucks and things like that. And so when he hits the ice, you've broken the record. So he hit the ice. I think he scored a hat trick, and then the fireworks hit and the Zambonis come out. And I don't know, like you would know that feeling from being done, your jaunt across Canada. But that feeling, it's indescribable. Like it's surreal to know kind of what you've accomplished, what you went through doing it, and then to be done. It's just a crazy feeling. We had guys who they won national championships with the Golden Bears, and they said that this for sure was the most emotional, powerful ending to a game that they've ever been a part of. So I thought that was really neat.
Well, once again, you're just pushing yourself further.
Yeah.
I would say you can draw comparisons to biking, sure.
Yeah.
But the thing about what you did is like, there is an ending to it. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And then there's a group to share it with.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we just popped out and we're at the ocean.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
holy crap.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on the plane and carry on with life, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
with you, it'd be a little bit more of a pizzazz, I would assume. But at the same time, you're in the middle of COVID pandemic and you can't go out and celebrate it maybe like they have in previous years.
Yeah, exactly. So, that and like I say, we didn't touch on it a whole bunch, but I was really surprised at how emotional it was. Like I had been warned about it going into a game that this is going to break you at times. And like to your point, certainly I think part of the game is that self-doubt in the middle of it and wanting to quit and saying, why did I do this? Like, why did I sign up? But and that's part of it, but the motivation around you, it's right in front of you, and look around you. The room is full of pictures of people that we've lost to cancer and are battling, and people drop pictures off and hang them around the rink of people they've lost. And I don't know if you read the Terry Jones story, but we had a lady come to the rink, and she started off her speech. I wasn't on the ice, fortunately or unfortunately, but she started her speech off by saying, my son would have been 17 years old. And right then, and again, I didn't hear it, but it was just as powerful as hearing it from the guys who were on the ice. But she lost her son to brain cancer when he was 8 years old, and now she's going through breast cancer, and she's in the trials for the drug that we're fundraising for. She signed up, and she said it too. Like, if you guys didn't play this game this year, I wouldn't be around to wait around. Like, so that part, when you hear it, it's
motivating,
100% inspiring. And it started early too, when you're walking around and everybody in that room that's playing with you and about to go through this with you, they're here for the same reasons you are, right? Like we had guys who's, Elbows, his wife is in terminal brain cancer, and he left her for 3 weeks to come play in this game. And some guys' dads, we had one guy, Ken Braggs, his dad's going through, I think, stage 4. And before the game, he was, kind of complaining that he didn't want to do the chemo anymore, and he wanted to let cancer take him. And he came and watched us one night, and Ken told us that inspired him to keep going and keep going to the cross and keep getting the chemo. So when you hear stuff like that, like it
makes my hair stand on my arms.
Yeah. It's not hard to put your skates back on and get out there, right? At the end of the day, we're playing hockey, and we had a choice. The people we're playing for did not have a choice, and they're going through a lot worse circumstances than we are. So yeah, it was emotional for sure.
I should clarify my laughter at you saying halfway through you question why you were doing it. I think there was, anytime you push yourself really hard, it could be a marathon for a guy like me who doesn't run.
Yeah.
I'm sure in there somewhere I would go, my little brain is going to go, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
But then you just got to refocus that if you can.
Yeah.
Because when you talk about those stories, man, that's enough to run through a brick wall.
Absolutely. And that's exactly how it felt like. As soon as you hear them, or, as soon as somebody comes and hangs a picture up of, somebody that they've lost, it's, you're doing this for them. And there's a lot of people counting on us to do it. And I never felt that before. So yeah, that's to people's point of how emotional experience it was. And the players had warned me before. I didn't know how it was going to hit me before, but it happened really fast. Like even guys just asking you, who are you playing for? And you ask it back and you hear their story, and, they're right there with you, ready to battle for 10 days to play hockey for 12 hours a day. And yeah, it's just really inspiring. And that's why I'll do it again.
It's just it's just so much more than a hockey game.
It is.
Right? Like
it truly is. Yeah.
it's people rally around the hockey game, but I mean it's just a way to bring together and shed light on a serious issue and try and fix it.
For sure. And for us to be able to talk to each other about our, our cancer stories and what's happened to us. And that helped immensely. And like I said, this has certainly helped me talk about it more and be open. And part of that is because, I just met 40 people who have their story that they at one point had wanted to keep close to their chest. And now they're out here and they're playing for it and playing for a cause and trying to make a difference. So.
Nah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's better. It's bigger word than cool. It's like inspiring is the way I put it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you were saying at the start or partway through that, people are probably like, Sam can't go do X or whatever. And what I admire about it is, and I don't mean this in any knock on you, is you're just a regular Joe.
Yeah.
I'm just a regular Joe, right?
Yeah.
But any regular Joe can go out and do something. Hell, Brent Saik isn't Wayne Gretzky, right?
No, he's not.
And he's found a way to become a very influential person just by getting in the ring and going to war for a little bit. And look at it. Look at what he's done in a 20-year span.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. And they're sprinkling in the baseball games, which is his favorite sport. He might have told you that. He doesn't even like hockey. He said, what did he say? Hockey's just a habit or a hobby or something. Baseball's a sport. So I'm fully convinced he's going to build a Yankee Stadium in his backyard on his land. And they're going to play the world's longest baseball game at Sakers Acres. It's going to be awesome.
Well, I got to bring you back to. Would you sit down with somebody? Who would you sit down?
I'm a big Eddie Vedder Pearl Jam guy. I think that would be neat.
Yeah.
Have a glass of wine with Eddie Vedder. Honestly, one would be my dad's dad, who I never got to meet, and I know he was a very influential man in India and back in the day. And just to chat with him, I think would be really neat. I never got to meet him, so I think that would be cool. But I'll think of more as I get out of here. But.
Well, we've gone almost an hour, and I haven't brought up the Oilers. So before I let you go, how about Darnell Nurse? Just like I should clarify to the listeners, the watchers, that I've been ragging on Darnell Nurse. Like, I like Darnell, but look at all the lucky goals he's getting, because he had like 6 when we started this conversation. 4 of which were put in by the other team. Now he's making me look like an ass.
But to your point. Even in previous years, I always thought his goals were lucky. Like, I think of that one that he scored at the Heritage Classic and a feed from Connor, and even that one didn't go straight in. It got a piece of the goalie. So, but and it seemed like as soon as you said that, I can't remember when you said who you were talking to, but you said that, and it just seemed like he's been picking corners ever since. But he's having a heck of a year.
He's making a mockery of me now, right? Like, I want to go back.
Maybe he listened. I bet he listened.
Who is this Sean Newman guy?
Yeah.
I'm going to show him while he's been showing me. He keeps getting open and just drilling the puck hole.
Yeah.
You watch. They're going to sign him for $9 million now.
That's the scary. Everyone's worried about the Barrie extension. It's the Nurse one that could potentially cripple them. Right? Because more people out here talking about Norris. They're not really talking about it in the East. But just in the fact that he's in that conversation, he's going to want at least $7 million. And with the way that team's built, like... I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
How are the Oilers going to do in the playoffs?
Oh, I don't know. They got to find a way to beat Toronto and Montreal. I can't seem to beat them because they're going to have to get through one of them. But, I just hope it's better than last year. Just to get back to the dance.
I like the
nice.
little laugh. Because you're just like, whew.
Yeah, I don't know.
Last year's playoffs was a little bit rough.
The Mike Smith's playing unbelievable, too. Can he carry this on?
Why not?
I don't know.
Dustin won't like hearing that. Was not a Mike Smith fan at the start of the year. Well, what can he say?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
What can anyone say?
Yeah, no, he's playing unbelievable. And but he's got to sustain it. And he gets to the playoffs, and those boys got to be better in front of him too. Because last year in the playoffs, they were dog shit in front of him. So,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
We'll see. I'm just being an Oiler fan, we're just happy they're in the race, right? Like.
Happy they're winning games.
Yeah.
Happy Connor McDavid's doing what he does.
Yeah.
Even happy Darnell Nurse is making an ass out of me, because it seems like every night I flick on the TV or I get a text from Sammy saying, did you see that snipe?
Yeah, I know. But we'll have to, next year will be a big one for Darnell. If he plays like this again, you're right. He's going to be in the 8s. I just don't know how they can afford it, but we'll see.
All right. Well, thanks for hopping in with me. It's this has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Sean, for showing an interest in our game and in our cause. We're happy to be here.
Hey, folks, thanks for joining us today. If you just stumbled on the show, please click subscribe. Then scroll to the bottom and rate and leave a review. I promise it helps. Remember, every Monday and Wednesday, we will have a new guest sitting down to share their story. The Sean Newman Podcast is available for free on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcast fix. Until next time.